Well, this certainly was not the first game that Cleveland Browns fans wanted, but at the same time, they're playing one of the best teams in football, in my opinion, the best team in football, and it's hard to take too much away from it, but I do think there is some things you can take away from it. Probably the biggest of which was that Baker Mayfield has to start making smarter decisions, and like on this one, for example, it's a cover three zone blitz. You have a receiver running over the middle. On paper, this play should work. Keep in mind, this is a 1st and 29. Pretty crazy how that happened. So, you're just trying to gain some yards right here. You would love to kind of get in field goal range, at least. Obviously, hopefully you can try to find a way to get another first down, but at least you'd like to get just get some yards on this play. And this is a route that can work. If you can get into a gap in coverage, there could be a way for this to work. But as you see, once this play starts, it's not really open. Baker's already thrown the ball, but this isn't really open. You see that the Ravens linebacker who's covering the middle of the field is doing a really good job of being aware, looking at the quarterback, and figuring out where he should run over and try and make a play. And also worth mentioning, there is a couple of Cleveland Browns players who are open just underneath the coverage a little bit that you can see on the screen. So, again, you don't really need to worry about gaining the extra 4 yards. Just throw it a little bit shorter, accept the fact that you're gaining the yards and move on, as opposed to throwing a very risky ball. This one gets tipped up, should have been intercepted. It was just dropped. And that could have been intercepted outright, too, if it wasn't a perfect throw. It was about as good of a throw as you can get, which is why it was only a deflection and a should have been interception. I mean, that just can't happen. Now, I'm not going to throw Baker completely under the bus or put the entire blame on him and act like he was the reason that, they lost this football game. He was a reason, but it's not like he was the sole reason. The biggest reason why their offense couldn't get much going is the fact that Baltimore has a fantastic secondary and Cleveland's receivers couldn't get open with consistency against that secondary. And even when they could, there was like a couple of other plays, like this one. It's a cover one play, so this is man coverage. This is what Baltimore likes to do. They like to play man. And, Odell, he's the kind of guy they rely on to get open one-on-one on man, him or Landry. But, you traded for Odell for him to be a number one guy. Your number one guy is the guy who's supposed to get open on 3rd down and 2 against man coverage, and he's running a route that should work. I mean, this should get him open against Marcus Peters, who isn't even Baltimore's best corner. And actually, it does work. Beckham's going to get wide open, but Mayfield makes the throw, but he just drops it, and that just can't happen. Again, it's another one of those, like, these plays can't happen, and Cleveland made, like, 4 or 5 plays this game that like should never happen. And I think that's the frustration. I've seen other, pundits in the media saying like, well, Baker Mayfield's actually just not that talented. That's the problem. I don't agree. At least if we're talking about physical talent, I think he's still very accurate. I think he still does have good arm talent. I think he is an athlete. He can move around. His problem is just all IQ based. It really is. He won't make the difficult reads like this one, where it's going to be, again, it's a zone blitz. So, and what's notable about this zone blitz, by the way, as well, is that there already isn't too many Baltimore players covering the middle of the field on the bottom of the screen. So now they're having another player run over. How I've designed the zone where you can see that there's pretty much from the numbers on, it's completely free. It's completely wide open. And the blitz is coming from that side. So there is reason to believe that if you see the blitz, then you would kind of look over and say, oh, was that open then? But as you see, I mean, Mayfield is just, he actually even looks over there. He should see the blitz. This is something that could work. But instead, he's just going to run to the other side of the field. And again, maybe he doesn't want to make a throw that far over, but there's no one in the area. I mean, that's for sure a completion if he decides to throw it there, and let alone if he notices it quickly enough that he could have actually gotten there much quicker. Again, he's on the hash marks on the top of the screen, so it's a difficult throw. I'm not saying it isn't, but that's kind of my point, is that it just seems like he doesn't often enough make the difficult reads or the difficult plays. And that's not really a big deal. I mean, he's young. It is what it is. But you have to at least be able to make the simpler plays. This one's a good example. It's a 3rd down and 10. You have, once again, it's going to be Beckham. He's running a route that is against man coverage. This route could get open against this type of coverage, and as you see, Beckham, he is going to get a little bit open. He's kind of open right here. But the problem with this throw is how far behind it is. If you're going to make this throw, make it that your receiver has to be the one who makes a good play. Don't worry about you making the play. Hit your receiver in an area where he has to dive to make it. Trust your great receivers that they can dive and make it. But here, it's going to be way too far underneath, and that could have easily led to an interception by Peters. I mean, that was just not a smart throw right there from Baker. It really wasn't. This one's another example where this is going to be a 4th down and 9. You see that one thing is that in the blue circle, there's a Baltimore player who jumped off sides. So, hey, free play, right? All you have to do now is just try to pick something you like and throw it in that direction. He has Odell running a deep route, so, that makes sense, right? Throw it to your number one receiver deep down the field. Why not? But what you're going to see Baker do, and this is very bizarre, is the second he gets the ball, he throws it when he's not under any pressure, when he could have waited, and just misses the throw entirely. Again, that's just bad fundamentals. Take your time a little bit. You don't have to throw it that quickly. You don't have. It's not a race to get the ball out as quick as you can. He could have waited and then made a throw, not had to put as much air under it, made a easier throw for him. He couldn't have waited forever. There was a safety in the game. But again, it's a free play, so at least get it in a position where your receiver has a chance, because if it's an interception, who cares? It's just not it's just not great, three-dimensional thinking football, I feel like. I don't know, I feel bad. I don't want to make videos where I talk about players in a negative way. I do like Baker a lot as a person, but I feel like he's a great character to have, and I think the NFL is better with him in it. But the NFL is better with him in it if he's making the reads that he's supposed to make and if he's making the more correct decisions, which he just isn't making right now. He had it happen a couple times where he threw what should have been an interception, but it was tipped. This is one of them. It's a 3rd down and 1. Again, the game's a blowout, so maybe he doesn't care. But it's man coverage, and you have a tight end running a route. It's going to get to the outside. And what's interesting about this, though, is because of that route, you think they would be good against this type of coverage. But a linebacker is going to do an incredible job of breaking over the middle. So he's going to get this interception right now because he's running running quicker. He has a better angle. And if this ball gets through, this is it's an interception. And quite frankly, it's probably a pick 6. However, it ends up getting tipped up at the line. You see, he can't believe it. It was a great play on defense for sure. But Baker just didn't notice it. And this happened a couple of times. This wasn't the only time I saw this happen. And I think that's the frustration when you watch Baker Mayfield. Is you see that he has physical talent, but it's just all in between the ears. And honestly, the Cardinals gave up on Josh Rosen because they didn't feel like he was mentally a good enough player to be a quarterback in the NFL. He had arm talent, but that was kind of all he had. And Baker Mayfield, obviously, he's a much more intelligent player than Rosen is. He's starting to get into that point as well, though, where it's I don't know if you can make it work. And at a certain point, you do have to start to wonder, is it time to move on? But at the same time, you still have 15 games left before you have to make that decision. So just put him in there, see what happens. But for Baker, he's got to stop making these risky plays. He's got to stop making these dumb decisions because these turnovers are completely killing his team's chances of winning football games. And he has a good supporting cast. This is a really talented team. This is the team that people said last year's Cleveland Browns team was. This is a legitimately talented team. But he needs to play better, and it really is a lot on him. I know it's unfair to blame a lot on the quarterback in most cases, but I do think it's pretty fair in this case to put a lot of the blame on Baker Mayfield. But again, let's try to hold off some judgment, even though he wasn't good last year and he hasn't been good for one game this year. He was playing a really good defense, a really great secondary, one of the best secondaries in the league, if not the best, and obviously a historic offense. So it's just... It was a tough matchup no matter what. But yeah, I think it's fair to be concerned. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.